Welcome to the Thyroidless Life podcast with me, Dr. Rebecca Warren. I created this podcast because I wanted to empower, educate, and equip women to not only just truly understand thyroid hormones, but understand their bodies and how to get themselves well. This is such a unique podcast because not only am I a doctor that's worked with women all over the world on reclaiming their health, but I've walked that same path as well. If you want more information about what it looks like to work with me, get my free Optimal Lab ebook, get plugged into my amazing Thyroid Inner Circle community, as well as join my newsletter, go to my website, drrebeccawarren.com. All right, so these are for my post-thyroidectomy, healing after thyroidectomy listeners that just feel an overwhelming sense of frustration or anger, or they feel bad because now that they've gotten more educated, they realize that they would have done things differently. Now, this goes out to my listener out there who submitted recently about sometimes when I listen to the podcast and you keep saying that about, myself, I would have done things differently, or how, a lot of people should have been given different options, that it can make her feel bad. And wondering if you could do a podcast to address this because she feels down on herself. So let me go ahead and tell you this. I really need you guys to understand something really, really important. We have a healthcare system that is disastrous for women, and it's disastrous when it comes to true health and healing, like prevention and being well. It's a really broken system, and it's going to take a lot for you to not end up in that system again. Every single person that works with me, I always spend a period of time, like every person that comes to see me post-thyroidectomy, I always spend time identifying what they were diagnosed with, what it meant, like what they found afterwards, what their options were. Because my goal is, I want you to understand something. My goal is, when you realize that there's a possibility that a majority of people that have had their thyroid removed didn't need to, then you can start to navigate that healthcare system in a very healthy, critical way. That is my goal. My goal, this isn't just happening in the world of thyroid and thyroidectomy. This is happening in so many different areas, especially for women's health. My goal is you've got to look at how you got here and how essentially the medical system may have failed you, so that you can move forward with that mindset. Listen, I came across a Maya Angelou quote, and it was essentially, when you know better, you do better, right? When you know better, you do better. In so many aspects, the more knowledge, the more educated, the more empowered you become, you have the responsibility to change, but you end up doing better. You can't beat yourself up for the lack of information, right? I'll never forget, there was one time years ago with my mom, and we were going through old pictures, like my old stuff of when I was younger, and there was a picture of me in middle school, and my mom started crying, and she said, and this was before everything I went through with my thyroid, and she was like, I wish I would have known differently. I wish, in tears, she was like, I wish I would have known differently. I would have done things differently with you. Like if I would have known. And I had to look at my mom, and I was like, Mom, you did everything right. Like you made the best decision you could with the information you were given. That's it. Like you cannot look back and say, oh, what if this, oh my gosh, I feel bad that I even did this. No. In that situation, when you're given, only these options, that's all you have to go off on. I talk about women that I work with that have had sex hormone issues, and, they get on birth control, which can make those issues worse long term. But I always explain, like, if all I had to get out of pain, if I go to my doctor and all they told me is this pill can get me out of pain and there was nothing else, no other answers, no other cause, heck freaking yeah, I'm going to get on a pill and I'm going to get the pain away because that's all I have. But what I want you to understand, for those of you guys that are, healing, and this can even apply to those of you guys that are like, no, I think it was a great decision. Like, I'm glad I had my thyroid removed. I want you to understand something, that you are responsible for your own health and no one else, right? You can feel better on it. You can absolutely, let me go ahead and let me make sure you guys understand this, because I try to make as much content about this. Suffering post-thyroidectomy is wrong. It ticks me off. For those of you guys that might have symptoms, like, what should be the norm is that you feel good. What post-thyroidectomy? You should feel good. I mean, you're on a pill that should give you these thyroid hormones. Weight loss resistant, anxiety, depression, like feeling all these different symptoms because you had your thyroid removed is not okay. You do not have to suffer. You do not. And most people that do is because the doctors say they can only try this med, they can only do these labs, they can only, like, this is all they can do, even though they're symptomatic. And that's wrong. I want you to understand, post-thyroidectomy, when I realized this is, my journey was 7 years of frustration as I did more research, as I went through my labs, I felt like a victim. And then it was like, oh no, okay, time to move on. And that's why I got so passionate to help others. That's why I do what I do, is because I realize, okay, this happened to me, but you know what? This doesn't have to define me for the rest of my life. I don't have to live in this fearful, negative way. And I transformed my hormone health. I transformed my metabolism. I had 2 kids. I got pregnant a year and a half apart, which I don't recommend. That was a little crazy. But I mean, my fertility changed. My sex hormones changed. So it doesn't have to be that way. But you also have to understand that if you're not constantly asking questions, if you're not advocating for yourself, especially post-thyroidectomy, you can be set up to have more health issues down the road. And that's the biggest thing I want you to take away when I talk about this. You do not feel bad or beat yourself up, or yeah, there could be some regret there, whatever, right? It happened, but now you got to take, my old mentor used to say, pain to purpose. Now you take that kind of really scary time or very kind of chaotic time, maybe, of deciding to take out your thyroid and all that. Take that and like move that forward with you and think about, okay, when it comes to my health, my gut health, my sex hormones, like when it comes to my health, how can I be more informed and more cautious and, get second and third opinions moving forward? That is my goal. Because if you do not do that, you can end up in the same place. It takes a lot more work to go against the grain with how everyone, does their health, being fully dependent on insurance and being fully dependent on your doctors, although, you do need your thyroid med. So you are very much so dependent on that. But, a simple example is this past week, I interacted with someone in my inner circle, and even though she felt better, she felt significantly better on a higher dose. So she had one doctor that put her on a higher dose, but her endo didn't want her on a higher dose. She did the higher dose with a different doctor, felt fantastic, but decreased the dose because she didn't want her endocrinologist to be upset with her. And now she doesn't feel great. And she's like, I just don't want them to be like, oh, I'm not compliant. I was like, oh, no, ma'am. I was like, you burn that bridge. Let them call you non-compliant. But this is your life. This is your body. This is your ability to fight off diseases and viruses and everything. Like, this is your opportunity to be truly well. Who cares about what this one doctor may think of you and what they might write in your folder because you were not compliant, because you went to another doctor who listened to you, that increased your dose and made an impact in your life. So especially for women, I think it's really important that we find our voice in the medical system and that we speak up and we challenge practitioners out there to give us good quality care and to be heard and respected. And that's going to take a lot of like and it's going to take a lot of, you know, changing of yourself if that's not something you're used to. I'm not saying go in there and yell at your doctor and give him attitude and everything, but understanding that, like, no, I deserve this. And you know what? You can be unhappy with me, but I'm going to go see someone else, like, and getting the care you deserve. That's what I want you to understand. Okay? Like, you can't go back, but you will have more interactions in this system. Like, as a practitioner, I don't prescribe medication. I had a lot of interactions in this system. Even something as simple as I worked really hard. Let me give you another example. I worked really hard to get on like these, I don't remember what I was on at that time. It was specific. And I really needed this combo. And I remember when I went to the pharmacist or the pharmacy to pick up my meds, they had switched it. And they were like, and I remember they gave it to me and I looked at it and I said, nope, 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 this is wrong. And they were like, oh no, this is pretty much the same. And I was like, absolutely not. I have been tweaking this. I have gotten to this brand, to this dose, because this is what my body needs. And you will not change that because you think it's the same. It's not the same to me. And if I was not aware of the meds, if I was not aware of like kind of how my body felt on certain things and getting labs and all of that, I could have left there and things could have been very different for me. So the goal is to get you fired up about your health. The goal is to make you realize you deserve the best care. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to be heard. And it's possible, absolutely, but you have to be aware, right? So I actually don't want you, if you're one of those individuals like myself where you realized, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have had my thyroid removed, or maybe there's an option to have saved my thyroid now with like radio frequency ablation. Like, I don't want to make you feel better. I want you to be like, okay, that's what happened. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again. And that's how my life was changed. Like, I always share about how when I was a patient, a student, when I first opened up my practice, when I knew no one, I was it didn't matter my financial status. My nutrition was has always been my biggest investment. Nutrition, supplementation, and like therapies, right? And the reason why is because I knew as soon as I was aware that I wanted to do everything I can on my end. I can't control absolutely everything, but I wanted to do everything I could on my end to keep me out of that system. And besides needing thyroid meds and a few things here and there, like, I haven't needed that medical system. And listen, I will go to that medical system if there's an emergency. I will go in there and I will do what I need to do, but I'm going to get out of there, right? So that's my goal, and that's what I want you to understand. The idea is, if you realize how things should have been done differently, then you can take that with you in the future, right? You know, something as simple as like, okay, well, like, I'll give you another example as I wrap up here, like menopause. You know, a lot of women are, as they start going into perimenopause or menopause, they start suffering and fatigued and all of this, and they're kind of told that, congratulations, this is menopause. But you shouldn't just fall for that. Menopause is a natural occurrence for women all over the world. The problem is here in America is that we've made dysregulated hormones so common that when you look around, so many women have it that you're tricked into believing it's normal when it's not normal. So if we take that experience of the thyroidectomy experience and you take it into something like menopause, and you can stop a moment and go, wait a minute, no, this isn't how things should be. And I'm going to figure out why that is. And another really important thing is that when you're looking for like real, like health, that's why you go into this functional world. The fact that you're even listening to this podcast and watching my videos already says that things can be done significantly different for you. They will be significantly different for you because you're educating yourself with real principles of health and healing. When you work with a functional practitioner, you can really set up your mindset and your lifestyle to need it less and less. Because honestly, second, third, fourth opinions, if the system is meant to essentially say the thyroid isn't that big of a deal and, your uterus, your ovaries, no big deal to get it cut out, you can talk to 2 or 3 different people and they're going to say, yeah, cut it out. No big deal. That's the general consensus within the medical system. But usually you have to take that functional approach and then you have to reach out to someone who specifically knows about that and then work with them on that. But again, when it comes to these things, you know better, you do better. You take what you learn into this new season of health and healing and you realize, okay, like I did the best with what I knew, but now that I know more, I know I can do fantastic things for myself and more health. So that's why I share about that. I share about getting multiple opinions and even speaking. And honestly, it's not even getting like second, third opinions with whoever, but looking out for those researchers. I came across multiple researchers, interviews of people that do active surveillance or radio frequency ablation. And I love that the most common thing I hear from these doctors that are really changing the world of thyroid cancer, thyroidectomy or whatever, what I love to hear over and over again is how impressed they are that patients are so well informed that they reach out to them. And the truth is that I don't know if there's a doctor here in my city that would do active surveillance. I don't know, but I know there's doctors all over the US that are doing this and are doing studies on it. So in the end, it's just, you know better, you do better, but now you know better. And now you can apply that to your health. And I truly believe that because of this and because you're listening to this podcast, you can have some exceptional health. You can have, and you will have better health than most Americans do or even in other countries, because you're so aware now and you're making the efforts to get yourself well. And I think that's amazing. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to leave a 5-star review. I love being able to see and read how this information is helping you on your health journey. And make sure to subscribe to the podcast. That way, when new episodes are live, you can have it automatically downloaded to wherever you listen to your podcast. The number one question I get asked is, how do I work with you? If you are interested in finding out more information about me and being a part of my community, go to my website, drrebeccawarren.com. That's dr.rebeccawarren.com. And you should be able to find the answer to your questions there, as well as checking out my Thyroid Inner Circle membership group, getting access to the free Thyroid Labs ebook that I have available for you, and so much more great information.